Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. It's an extended football show for the full hour tonight. We're delighted to have your company. The main talking points: Celtic are looking for their first win in the Europa League. They take on Fenerbahce this evening. Stuart McCall's interested in the Dundee United job, but Inverness are not interested in any approach from Tannadice for their boss, John Yogi Hughes. And Rangers manager Mark Warburton says a British League will eventually happen. Just a few of the topics Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing tonight with our bookroom guest, Joe Miller. Great to have Joe alongside Alan. Joe more reserved in his dress sense. Alan just lapping up the sun with the last few t-shirts that nobody's seen on the programme. Great to have you with us. Of course, Europa League. It's Celtic looking for their first win tonight against a side that I think may well have more quality than Ajax had in the Amsterdam Arena, Ruffy. We all know about Robin van Persie, there's Nani, there's Morales. Should Celtic be expecting a win there tonight?
Well, you've got home advantage. You would like to think you should win your home games. There's no doubt about that. But I always find the Turkey sides, then they're either up for it or they're not up for it. If you get on top of them, they chuck it rather than fight and try and get back into the game. They might have something to prove. And Celtic will be hoping that they can convert some of the ones that they tried on Saturday.
Joe, I always treat with a pinch of salt anybody talking about unrest in a camp and manager falling out with the odd player. Always seems to come out nicely ahead of a European game. Robin van Persie, if he's fit, if he's ready, you throw him in there for a European game.
Yeah, of course you do. That's his level. That's where he wants to play. He likes to play at the highest level, Champions League games. He's got all the experience. So I think the press, the media, with a pinch of salt regarding the atmosphere within the camp. But it will be a good game. It will be a tough match for Celtic with the quality of players that we've just mentioned there. I think it will be a tough night. Celtic do have to do better. They had a lot of chances on Saturday that didn't convert. So it will be if they can create that, then they'll cause Fenerbahce problems. But everybody's got to be up for it, and I think with the fan base at Celtic Park, it'll be a great night, a great European night again.
Yeah, you watched Celtic against Hearts, and of course we both attended the Celtic game against Malmo. Do you see any signs of the old problems that have dogged them in previous European games?
Well, the only thing that's concerning me just now is just the way maybe they're only playing one striker up front. I think it's pretty difficult there. They're creating a lot of chances. It's left to Lee Griffith to try and get on the end of things, and they're getting support from the other players from outside the box. But the amount of crosses they put in Saturday against Hearts was phenomenal, but it just didn't convert any of the chances. I think sometimes you need a different approach with maybe just an out-and-out winger sometimes, just to freshen it up and maybe go for 5-10 minutes with a player playing wide and try to create chances then. But I think it's difficult when you've got one striker up there. It's better with two in there, especially in the European stage. So I think they should go with that tonight if they're going to try and get a result.
Joe mentioned that Besiktas managed to get a 3-2 victory against Fenerbahce. It's all very tight at the top of the Turkish league. You never really know what you're getting. What I do know, Ruffy, is they won't be intimidated by the atmosphere of Celtic Park. I'm wondering what type of crowd. I'm not a big fan of Europa League football, and I wonder if Celtic fans will respond in great numbers. If they are going to respond, it's games against the likes of Fenerbahce and Ajax rather than, no disrespect, Molde.
Yeah, well, I think the Celtic fans have still got, it's European football, it's still going along to see Van Persie, Nani, the quality of players that are going to be on show. I'm sure they will turn out in numbers, there's no doubt about that. And if they're lucky enough to get tickets for the game over there, that'll be quite a game as well, because just as you've said there, the atmosphere when you play them, is absolutely superb. But I think tonight it's all about, going out and getting a win.
I wouldn't like to, Joe, be in any way bragging about potentially what Celtic can achieve in this league. I think, if anything, that's one of the things that they've made a mistake over the last couple of years, certainly with the manager in tow, suggesting that they're going to beat this team, beat that team, go all the way, can go all the way in tournaments. I think a lower profile on this. I mean, yesterday we've had Dermot Desmond, the majority shareholder at Celtic, saying, you know, they're right behind what Ronnie Tyler's doing. I think if he was less inclined to offer what I call your classic soundbite from the back pages of the newspapers, you know, he leaves himself wide open to criticism when they fall flat in their face, and this one has the potential for a banana skin.
It does, but I think that's where, if you're talking about inexperience that comes out, he's not an experienced manager on this stage, so it's a learning curve for him. It's a learning curve for Celtic to see how this young manager that they're put in place is going to handle it. I think, you know, there'll be things that he's maybe said in the past that he's maybe regretted, he's maybe put himself under a wee bit of pressure with, but I think he'll just have to knuckle down and bear it and take what comes to him. You know, as far as having your you know, your squad getting behind you and playing for you, you've got to be confident in that group of players that you put on the park, and you know, he seems to have that at the moment, but you know, they just don't seem to be firing on all cylinders at the moment. I think, you know, maybe a game like tonight, maybe just bring the best out of some players.
I think the unfortunate thing is, as soon as Celtic go into European football, everybody's talking about the defence. Nobody mentions the defence in the SPFL. When you play in European football and you lose goals for corners, you lose goals for free kicks, everybody's aware of it now, everybody's focused on it now, so that's something they really need to tighten up. They really try and get a shutout, you know, and get all that bad baggage out the road, because there's certainly a lot of people now are identifying that it is a weak spot in the team.
There is a lot of new players in that side who haven't experienced Europa League football even, you know, never mind Champions League or anything. Yeah. So it will be difficult for them to adjust, but I'm sure they'll relish in the atmosphere. And enjoy playing at that stage and coming up against Van Persie's and Nannies.
What do you make of the comments of Dermot Desmond yesterday? I mean, again, it's always nice for the manager to hear that the board and the majority shareholder are backing the plans he has. He's mentioned the fact that he develops players to come through and give them the chance. He's cited Tom Rogic being given the opportunity when it looked as if maybe he was heading out the door, and Nir Bitton as well. But over and above that, he did mention that loss of Champions League is a huge blow, but that's where they think they should be, you know, group stages and better.
I think there's maybe just a bit of boredom setting in just now. I think there's just, you know, we've seen this in the past couple of years. Okay, they've got you know, something put in place where, you know, they'll sell a player on and recoup cash if they don't do well in the Champions League, but you know, to kind of sidetrack it, you know, and aim for a British league, you know, it gets the people talking, it gets the press talking, gets the fans thinking about it, you know, it just kind of takes everything away from how the team's actually playing just now and what the setup's like in Scottish football. So, you know, whether he's deliberately done it, I do not know, but it's got everybody talking about it again. But then again, it just takes the chairman of the FA down in England just to, you know, kick it right into touch. Yeah. You know, but you know, to say it could happen in 10 years, you know, 10 years is a long time away. So
yeah, absolutely. I hate to kick it into touch myself. Can't see it happening. Although, again, market forces might dictate. Rangers boss Mark Warburton was looking ahead to a really big game against second place Falkirk in the Championship at the weekend. But he also gets sidetracked into this British League. This is what he had to say.
What dominates down south right now is TV money. Obviously, the TV money and the financial climate is different down south than north of the border. So therefore, I think a product you're always trying to keep fresh. And how would you keep a product fresh? I'm sure you get to the stage, sooner or later, you get to the stage where Team X versus Team Y hasn't got the same appeal to the average man in the street. Whereas Man United versus Rangers, Celtic versus Arsenal, etc. It's new, it's fresh, huge fan bases, global fan bases. It's another level of excitement. I'm sure any product is always looking to keep it fresh.
rather than give it any great gusto or length of discussion on it, we've done it. I think I can recall for 20 years, Ruffy, discussing the pros and cons of this and how it won't happen. Mark Warburton again highlights a point that many have made, which is Man United against Rangers, Arsenal against Celtic. Yep, they all have great appeal, but there are so many barriers, not only the police but other areas of it as well, which I think have literally locked the doors on us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that everybody would want to be there, but I don't know about you, but when I go to a party I have to get asked to come. I don't think anybody's asked them yet.
Yeah, I have actually encountered a few parties where you've just turned up, to be perfectly honest with you, so I don't know where you got that line from. Anyway, we're going to talk more about the Rangers game against Falkirk. We'll hear more from Mark Warburton. Joe Miller is our boot room guest, and there's more to come. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, with Joe Miller, our boot room guest. Just prior to the break, we were talking about the British League, and of course, Ruffy came out with an absolute classic, saying, you have to be invited to the party. But Ruffy, I mean, I can't let this programme go without you sharing the story. There's nothing worse than somebody telling you a story, Joe, in the break that I think everybody needs to hear about. But you have actually gone to a party that you weren't invited to.
Yeah, I have to say it was very early on. I was 16 years of age and my brother had decided that there was a great party in Knightswood where we stayed, and we were going to go along uninvited, and it just so happened as we were coming up the stairs a fight had broken out and unfortunately it happened going down the stairs, and that boy actually stuck the head in me and went down there. I was quite distraught because I knew Plastic Mac never known, which are all the craze then, but it just shows you what happens when you're uninvited and you don't know the people who are there.
That's exactly it. There's a lesson even in a football show. Don't go to a party if you're not invited. Joe, there's no point in asking you about it because I know you would have actually tried to hit the boy back.
It's a reference to the English League.
Oh, absolutely, I don't know where it was. As soon as he threw it in, I thought, I know there's a story there, that's why he's mentioned it. Mark Warburton obviously talking about it because, listen, the attraction is money, the driving force is money. It's looking at people at a very rich, lavish party and you're almost like outside looking in and you can't get near it. I can understand the motivation and they keep knocking on the door hoping that somebody will open it.
I mean, if you were to sit down Derek McInnes, and whoever the manager is going to be at Dundee United, they'll want to go as well. Yeah. It's not just an invite just to Rangers and Celtic. I mean, if they're going to open a British League, I don't think you can be selective of who you're going to take.
Yeah.
As you say, there are procedures you have to go through. One of them, in fact, is leaving our association, which I don't know how easy that is, but
it's a real kick in the teeth though, Joe. I mean, to be honest with you, you have to be asked the question, and I understand the whole process of ask the question, keep it going, you get a high profile owner or a chairman and talk about this possibility, because there is a distinct lack of cash in our game and it's flooding in down south. I mean, I think there's a number of people who've mentioned that they think that the money in England is obscene, and what's being done with the money is obscene as well. Whether the bubble bursts or not, who knows? I don't think you can ever say it never will. But now, TV dictates the games and people's movements, whether they're going to stay in or whether they're actually going to go to games. We now have a situation where fans are unhappy at the pricing down south at the games too. But I think up here, the last thing any other owner or chairman would want to hear is yet again somebody at one of the big clubs saying, yeah, we want out, and if we could get out, we would go.
Yeah, I think it's just with the comments that Dermot Desmond has said that, whether he knows something that nobody else knows, or discussions, these things will take a long time to happen. To make plans, it must take about 5 years or so for any club to even think about going down there. But it is a bit disrespectful to the other clubs. Personally, I think we should get Scottish football. I've been saying it for a few years now. I think it should be addressed. I think we missed an opportunity to adjust that as well. So I think the boredom setting in just now, the way Scottish football's sitting at the moment with a lack of money, the products that's there just now, you know, and you know, Celtic will also feel frustrated. They'll feel as if they're at the top of the league, they're going to win the league every year.
Yeah.
There's that sign of complacency sets in and boredom.
Joe, let me tell you, next year the boredom will not be there because Rangers will be back in the Premier League and there'll be an edge to it again, Ruffy.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think everybody's missed the big game. There's no doubt about it. A lot of people say they don't like it, but I'm not too sure about that. You know, I think everybody likes the atmosphere and everything that goes with it, and majority of times we get good games, and it's the excitement of the whole thing.
Players love playing in it as well.
And Hearts will be there, and possibly Hibs will be there, and that'll be us nearly back to our full quota of all the big derby games, and I think that will be an injection as well in the Scottish game. But I think if we're trying to promote the game, we should be promoting it for not just two clubs, for every club.
Yeah, well, I think if anything, I beg your pardon, I'd love to see us actually start to talk about, you know, a definitive top league extended to incorporate as many derbies as possible, as many of the top professional teams as we could possibly have, rather than talk of leaving for another league because it is more money. I think that would be more positive towards what I think the SPFL as a collective is trying to do, rather than any individual. But listen, money dictates at the best of times. What about the game? I mean, if we're talking about games in the Championship, I do think Rangers against Falkirk is going to be a good one, Ruffy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we had Peter Houston on there. He definitely knows that Rangers are a different case for last year. There's no doubt about that. They're playing exciting football, particularly at home. They're scoring goals for fun. The players will be confident and get in there. It'll be nearly a full house, and everybody will be right behind them, rather than the last time that Peter Houston was there, when it was everybody was sort of just wondering what was going to happen with Rangers, and the players were under pressure. I think it's an entirely different game, but Peter is very experienced in going there. You know, he'll know what he's got to do, and I'm sure it'll be a good game to go along and see.
Yeah, and Mark Warburton was talking about Rangers and their run, and the only thing that could derail them in his mind is complacency.
It's a good start by us. Our biggest weapon will be us. The biggest enemy to us will be us. Any complacency, any lack of preparation will hurt us, so we have to be best prepared for every game, and we'll be. The players are hungry, they're focused, they're excited by what's happened so far, but they recognise that some tough games ahead, some tough challenges, and some quality opponents, and going to some venues in the middle of winter as well will change the challenge, so we have to be prepared, one game at a time, and let's see where we are.
Yeah, if anything, the big game in that division that could go a long way to deciding it. Everybody, I think, feels, Joe, that Rangers are going to run away with it. But if Hibs could get any sort of momentum, that suddenly becomes the key game in that division. Everybody looks forward to it.
Yeah, it's probably about the hardest game that Rangers will come up against, but on paper. But you know, Rangers. I've seen Rangers the past week or so, and they do play an attractive style of football. You know, and they are creating chances. They're scoring goals from various departments. So everybody's pitching in from goals. You know, they are a difficult side, but you know, I think they've seen the step up when they come up against Premier League opposition. You know, where there's probably a better standard of player, full time. You know, they've seen that level. They came up against it, and you know, I think that was the adjustment they had to make. But I'm sure if they come up against other Premiership players and other teams, that you know they'll do well. But you know, Falkirk, you know, Peter Houston will put a good side, and he'll try and make it difficult because they know how strong Rangers are.
Yeah, here's the dates, Ruffy, for the League Cup quarter-finals now. Inverness Cally Thistle against Ross County on Tuesday, October 27th. I think that one is a stick on now for live TV. No surprise there, really, because I don't think you'll struggle to sell the tickets for this Highland Derby.
No, I don't think you will. And there's a good rivalry up there. There's no doubt about that. It'd be good if they could get a full house, particularly with the way Ross County are playing just now. John Hughes has got them playing winning games as well. They're playing attractive football, so I think that'll be an absolute cracker to even go and see.
Yep, Morton against St Johnstone also on the 27th. On the 28th, it's Hearts against Celtic, which, Joe, at the best of times, they met in 2 cup competitions last season. This one, I think, on the evidence of the weekend, suddenly we've got a Hearts side that's different, can defend, can battle. They've had a few slip-ups here and there, but you've got a manager saying, you know, this is a Hearts team that he wants to build to go to Celtic Park and win games. You can see where their ambitions lie.
You can see it. I mean, I seen it last weekend where they had every single player behind the ball, and they made it very difficult for Celtic to break down. Although Celtic did create a lot of chances, they still defended well, and they tried to hit Celtic in the counter a few times, and did cause a few problems because, you know, Celtic do have 1 or 2 problems in their defence. So, you know, if they could sneak a goal on the counter attack, then, you know, his job's done. But he's going to make it difficult when he goes to Celtic Park because his team he realises his team don't have that experience. They've just came up. He's built a new side there. They're all young players. And when you're coming up against a team like Celtic, you know, it's always going to be difficult.
Yep. Coming up in the next part of the programme, we're going to talk about those managerial vacancies. We'll also talk about Terry Butcher, because it looks as if he'll be looking for a new job. He's been sacked by Newport County, another man that had a career in Scotland, both as player and manager. Could he come into the running for any job as a late out? At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. In the break, if Joe Miller even utters a suggestion of a great story from a party that he wasn't invited to, we'll try and get him to tell us about it in the next part of the programme. But more football chat, including, of course, last night's Champions League to discuss.
Hi, I'm Chris Sutton. To win this beautiful signed shirt from me, which club did Celtic sign me from?
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. It's an extended show, Monday to Friday. As ever, we like to give you your daily fix of football chat, and not forgetting, of course, this Saturday we're on 4 hours bringing you all the scores, all the goals as they hit the back of the net, north and south of the border. Join us if you can. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and we have a former Aberdeen and Celtic striker in Joe Miller in the boot room.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Joe Miller's there alongside Alan Ruff, and the next topic I think we should discuss, lads, is something that quite a few managers are interested in. Some of them out of a job, looking for possibly the Dundee United job and the Motherwell job as well. Stephen Craigan, as we've discussed, Ruffy, is in there at the moment. He'll handle the game away to Dundee at Dens Park on Saturday, and then Motherwell will sift through over 75 applications. But as far as Dundee United is concerned, the fallout from it still continues. The caretaker boss at the moment, Dave Bowman, was that the players, Jackie McNamara, anybody to blame for the situation? It was the players.
Well, certainly at the end of the day, you know, the players are out in the park. Jackie's doing his job Monday till Friday, you know, and the players are enjoying his training, enjoying everything he does. Yeah, as soon as they cross that line, they've got a lot to answer for. But I thought Jackie, I mean, now I watched the highlights of that game. Dundee United could have been 3-0 up before St Johnstone actually scored. So it just shows you how tight it is, you know, the margins of keeping a hold of your job. Because even in the games before that, I thought they were playing particularly well, but not scoring goals. So it's a sore one, but I think it's the way the whole thing was handled from the owner's point of view. And I now think that he is actually trying to save face and trying to let us all know that, oh, this is the way it should have been done, this is what I did it the right way, and we went through the proper procedures and all that. At the end of the day,
losing his job, Joe. Jackie probably will look back on certain things that he wished he'd maybe done differently, but he picks the team, he puts them out there. The defence of it all, I think, and the strongest defence Jackie McNamara has over the 3 years at Dundee United, when he was implementing his ideas. You can have all the ideas in the world if you haven't got the players to implement those ideas out on the park, and I think the standard of player was dropping considerably, whether they've got potential or not.
Well, that's the difficult jobs now, whether it's, they've got to ask questions now. Feel from. Even seen that his dad was a wee bit upset the way he was treated. So, I've got to, I agree with it here. It's just, it's not a done thing to go about sacking a manager like that. But particularly when he's doing well, and his best players keep getting taken. You can't keep finding season after season and try to blame them. You've got to win football matches at the end of the day, but at the same time, you've got to only good players win your football matches.
Yeah, and with that in mind, and you can spin it any way you want. Candidates who all want the job, position, which is something that cannot be argued with, Robbie. But a squad right now. Can get more out of them than Jackie was able to do?
I don't think possibly get more out of them. I think they could maybe get games to go their way. As I've already touched on it a couple of minutes ago, I thought they could have won the last 3 games, although it never happened. They were creating chances, just not getting the break of the ball, and the results never fell for them. So I don't think it's a big ask for a new manager to go in there and get them top 6 anyway. I mean, I would like to think the owner wouldn't expect the next manager to come in and be hitting first, second, third position. It's too late for that now. But no, it's a good club. It's always a good club. Good atmosphere in the place when it's full, and I think there'll be a lot of managers out there. Again, I keep saying this, I wish I knew all the names that were in that 70. I would really love to sift through it myself, because I think you've already touched on John Hughes, Stuart McCall, Mixer-Patalainen. I would like to see the names that are on that sheet that are better than these 3.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say there were a few rockets in there, Ruffy. I think when an Aberdeen fan applied for a job down south with a humorous letter. So I think what happens is you get the 75 and you go, I'm sorry, you're just not making it. I'm like you. I'd love to see those names, but you mentioned there Mixu. He's one of the listen. The odds will change hour by hour. Mixu's in there emerging as one of the strong favourites. John Yogi Hughes, Inverness have already said, look, hands off here. I think John Yogi Hughes would take that job, if I'm honest with you. But the one that strikes it for me, is Stuart McCall. I think if Stuart McCall wants that job, I think he will be the front runner in the next couple of weeks, if not the next few days.
Yeah, I think Stuart McCall and John Hughes, as you've touched on it briefly there. I think John Hughes, if he was interested, would be interested for the same reason that Terry Butcher was interested in going to Hibs. Done particularly well with Inverness, there's no doubt about that, but Dundee United and Hibs are bigger clubs, bigger support, and you could get your teeth into that and see that as a target to get them back to where they were, whereas unfortunately for Inverness, they're not going to get any bigger than what they are. They're a good club to be at, but just can't see it.
Well, my point with the John Hughes situation is probably Inverness fans will look and say, oh no, there's been no approach. There's your official line. The fans will not know what might be going on in the background. But the driving force here, if it was John Hughes was in the running and they did approach the club, is John Hughes has won them the Scottish Cup. And he's got them into Europe I don't see where you can go after that, Joe. I think, it's hard to try and reach that. Stuart McCall found that ceiling level with Motherwell. I think Inverness come into that category.
He's not going to do that year in, year out. It's the first time Inverness has ever done it, but, they were on an upward curve last year. Yogi's went in and lifted the whole club. They were playing great football, good young players coming through, like Ryan Christie. So I think anything that they've had is a bonus, and if they were to lose him or to allow him to go and speak to them, I think they should give him his best wishes and say, if that's what you want to do, go and speak to a club like Dundee United and see what you can do there. But we all know, we've just seen it with Jackie, a manager's tenure's very short. Yogi could go another year and then it could be him, it could be getting sacked. That's the way Scottish football is, or any sort of football, that's the way it is now. And that's why you take managers' jobs. But, sometimes I'd like to see some of these chairmans take a job on and see what it's like and see how hard it is, because, they seem to think it's not a hard job, but these guys are working hard and trying to build a team for the club to be successful, but there's no longevity in football anymore.
I think the average, we established with Derek Adams was 11 months. He came in and said to research for most managers, 11 months. If you get 18 months, great. If you get 3 years, you're doing well, Ruffy.
Well, it's incredible that Alan Archibald, I think it's at 2 years 3 months, is the longest serving manager in the SPFL just now. And that is incredible, because unfortunately for Alan, he's going to be under scrutiny as well at the weekend, and it's a big game that if he wins it, it could take a lot of pressure off him.
Yep. Just before we hit the break, Ruffy, Scotland have dropped 9 places to 40th in the FIFA rankings. Should we look too much into just win against Poland? That's the only thing that's in my mind, and Lewandowski picking up an injury. It's just
yeah. We watched him again the other night there, and he is scoring goals for fun. Everything's just dropping for him, and he's got the ability to just make it so easy, and that's why I'm saying when we play them next week, I really think we need 2 goals in us, because he looks as if he's guaranteed going to score anyway. So I really hope we can get that one. Yep,
absolutely. Coming up, football show, we will talk about the other Europa League fixtures, and of course with every game comes the pressure on managers, especially Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool. You can give us your thoughts on football, anything that's annoying you, at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy as well. We'll be reading out, as ever, a lot of your tweets and your Facebook messages over the course of the programme. Joe Miller is our boot room guest, and a big thank you to the tweet that came in just saying I was the guy who had the party that Ruffy was coming to in Drumchapel. What an absolute stunner that one was, and you should see Ruffy's face right now that we've managed to track him down. Okay, will we get him on as a guest? Can we Skype him? We'll find out after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, an extended programme, but don't forget, every night of the week, Monday to Friday, we talk football. On a Saturday, it's an extended 4-hour programme. Kicks off at 2 o'clock. Gordon Smith and Alan Ruff will be joining me, Peter Martin, to bring you all the scores, all the goals. Frank McAvenny will be our third member of the panel on Saturday afternoon. Last night, Ruffy, the Champions League had slightly better fare for the English clubs, Manchester United and Manchester City, managing to get a win.
Yeah, I thought both of them were very fortunate, particularly Man City. Absolutely hammered in the first half. Joe Hart, the goalkeeper, had some wonderful saves, but again, defensively they looked poor. I thought, as did Man United. I thought they were all over the place at the back, but when you've got class players in other divisions, midfield and up front, you've always got a chance. And certainly, again, it was one of these games that weren't very convincing, but I can't see either of the two of them going far in this competition at all.
No, you talked about special players. I always think Aguero, Joe, is the absolutely top drawer. But again, I think United are now starting to see the best of Juan Mata. I mean, his flick for the eventual winner was audacious, to say the least.
Yeah, well, they says if he's not scoring goals, he's setting them up, and he was convincing last night. You know, anything that he did, you know, he's a very positive player. Anything he does, you know, it's you know, he's creating chances all the time. But you know, Chris Smalling, he kind of found himself out of position, and for them to concede the goal earlier on the night, and you know, it was Juan Mata's flick, but Chris Smalling, you know, bailed himself out big time by getting on to the end of it. He did very well, but it was a lucky kind of result for him. I thought it wasn't a convincing performance, but it's one that they'll take.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chris Smalling, Ruffy's been watching the James Tavernier video. Full-backs and centre halves in a striking position. He finished it with some aplomb.
Yeah, he did. You know, I think it was one of these ones that came to him so quick. You know, he just the reaction was just to put it away, and if the flag's up, it's up. If it's not, then you'll take the goal. I think it was one of these ones.
I'll tell you something, Ruffy, that I think will be well worth viewing. That's coming out in the next month is the Ronaldo movie. I mention that because he's now on his 501st goal. Some of the records that he holds now are phenomenal. He seems to exchange them with Messi every week, but he scored the 2 against Malmo, and again, you know, I think one very, very respected Spanish journalist, Guillem Balaguer, reckons that he's on the wane at Ronaldo. I wonder how long that curve's going to go till he eventually becomes rank rotten, because he still looks phenomenal.
He certainly does, you know, and he's not everybody's cup of tea. I think it's Des. He's not a big fan of his, you know, by the way he goes down very easily in some tackles when he thinks he should be staying on his feet the way Messi does and carry on. But certainly he's got, I think he's got some things that are better than Messi. He's a better header of the ball than Messi. He's certainly got a lot more pace than Messi, but I don't see him on the wane at all. You know, I think he's great to watch. I always, every time you mention him, I always remember that documentary. I don't know if you saw it quite. I think it came back out again, where they put him through all the tests, not on the park. Tests of going through cones and that, and actually there was one of the tests is absolutely fantastic, where they have a goal in the studio, and he's setting himself up for the ball to come in, and they turn the lights off, and he actually still has the ability to volley it into the back of the net while it's in the darkness.
Incredible, by the way. I mean, I think it's Celtic and Aberdeen, if it was a dark night, Joe couldn't hit the ball for love nor money, never mind turn the lights out.
No, even when the lights were on again.
I mean, the one thing that really, I mean, I can't believe Des doesn't like him. I mean, he is the epitome of any youngster out there who wants to actually, you know, buy into the fact that hard work, graft, belief, you know, and it's not only working at your craft, Joe, it's actually putting the work in your body. You know, to take you to that next level, to take you to the ultimate level. I mean, Messi is a phenomenon in a different style from Ronaldo.
Yeah, it is, and you know, love him or hate him, he is the ultimate professional. The way he's went about things, you know, he's worked hard at his game. You can see for a young, that's all he's wanted to do. He's wanted to be the best, and you find that with these top players, you know, European players. You know, they work so hard at their game. They know all their attributes and they know everything that they can do to progress in the game. But you know, comparing him with Messi, I don't think there's any comparison. I love Messi. I think you know, I think you know, we look back over the years and all the greatest players in the world, they've all been small 5'6" players. Yeah. You know, that low centre of gravity to take players on, the balance and being able to beat 3 and 4 players at a time. Ronaldo's a different kettle of fish. He can do it all, but he doesn't do it in a manner that, you know, it's enjoyable to watch Messi do.
Yeah, but as Peter said, I mean, you can see Ronaldo's worked at it. He's worked at his skills. He's worked at his upper body, and as Peter himself will tell you, it takes a while getting that six-pack.
Oh,
you have to put a power of work into it, and once you've got it, you know, it's
you never lose it.
Is that what Des is jealous of it?
I think that's Des McKeown's real jealousy. Although, to be fair, how can you admire a footballer who goes into a clothes shop and everything just fits fantastically well? That really is the only thing that does my head in about Ronaldo, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think it's going to be a great documentary. I mean, I can't wait to see this movie. Real insight into a player, and I think, you know, a shining example, I think, both players at this period in time, when people can look at how they conduct themselves off the field and how they conduct themselves on the field. I think both of them are worthy of the title of World Stars. Admittedly, we all loved and we all love flawed geniuses, but you can't knock the way they portray themselves to the public, Robbie. I think that is something that's a legacy that is passed on to youngsters.
Yeah, well, when you look at people like that, the first thing you say is role models, for the younger generation that's coming up. I mean, I'm talking about wee kids at 10 and 12 who idolise people like that, and if they're the two people that they're going to try and model themselves on the park and off the park, it can only be good for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry if you are a tall genius of a player. I mean, I know Joe has just written off guys like Di Stefano, Hullet and Ronaldo just because they're over 5'1", but stick in at your game, even if you're head and shoulders above Joe, which most of us are. Just stick in there, you can still make it. Managers under pressure, one of them, if you're talking about bookies offering odds on managers getting the sack every week, Brendan Rodgers is under intense pressure. Is he under intense pressure for anything in European football, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think unfortunately he's put himself in a position where he's going to be judged in nearly every game until he goes on maybe a 4 or 5 game unbeaten run. It's an unfortunate scenario that every time he's going to go in now, he's going to be judged on every individual game. In these games, if he wins, it would help him get people off his back. But certainly, they're not playing the way that the Liverpool supporters expect their teams to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's only 2 wins in 7. Scraped past Carlisle. Now they've got Sion. They've only got Everton and Tottenham on the horizon in the Premier League in England as well, Joe. That I think this next few weeks for Brendan Rodgers could be make or break.
Yeah, I agree with Ruffy. I think he's got to get a win in the European stage. I think he's been about that. When you look back over his time there, he's tried to really rebuild a whole new side. He's kind of, I'm not saying he's ripped the heart out of it, but that sense where the Liverpool supporters liked their home-blooded players playing in the side as well. It seems to be all foreign players that he's brought in. He's paid a lot of money for them, and he's just tried to rebuild something like like a Chelsea side. He's bought a lot of players and just revamped the whole side. But the Liverpool fans are putting him under severe pressure at the moment with every result that he's not getting. So I think tonight against Sion it'll be very difficult for him, and I think he'll have to get a result there if he's to keep a job. Yeah,
absolutely. And Tottenham as well, another one of the British clubs involved. Ruffy, they've got a slightly more glamorous game against Monaco.
Yeah, again, I like him as a manager, and I have to be perfectly honest, I don't think he's actually set the Heather on fire either. I think Spurs as a club, who want to get back in there with the top 4 and want to be in European nights, but they just don't spend the money that everybody else is spending. They have to sort of deal in a bracket underneath the big boys. But again, I remember seeing them when they come up to play Hearts. Remember, I thought they were tremendous, the style of football that they played. But he's another one that I hope he gets a bit of success. Okay,
I think we've covered all bases on the stories for today. You can interact with us at Peter and Ruffy on Facebook, on Twitter, I beg your pardon, and then facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. Great to have Joe Miller as our boot room guest. We're off to a party. The people don't know we're coming yet, but we're coming, believe me. Thanks for watching. Good night.